You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on our YouTube channel, Twitter, as well as Facebook. I'm Al Graham, and joining me is my joint host, Tamara Kyright. Hello, Tamara. How are we doing tonight?
All right, I guess. I just tested negative for COVID, so that's a good news.
Hey, well, there you go.
That's just one positive thing. And I appreciate you covering for me last week with me having some dealings, but yeah.
Yeah. You need the night off. That was no problem. Very understandable. And I just told everybody you need the night off. So that's what we did.
I appreciate you covering my butt because I don't often ask for a night off, but it was extreme duress that night. So
correct.
We're working through. We're working through.
The guests we had on last week were really good friends of mine, so it made it really easy. Just turning into a conversation between the three of us, right? So
yeah, that's good. Good.
Yes, exactly. Just an update on our yield contest that we're holding here on the network.
Am I allowed to enter that? I'm not allowed to enter that, am I?
Well, that's not in the rules. You can't enter it. You can't see the plant anyways. So
okay. And you haven't shown me any pictures. I have no idea.
No,
I have not seen it. I've seen no pictures.
No, you haven't seen anything.
You
haven't seen anything. What's online?
Right?
Yeah.
I just know that we've got a wild contest going on. So
okay, let me run the video. Okay,
right.
and we'll go over there because I have pulled the plant, so it is drying. Okay?
Oh, good news.
There we go. Pretty easy. Just go to the website, paceradio.net, click on the link that's there. It'll take you to the contest page. Information is there. The form is there. Just, put your email address on there so I can email you back and put your gas in, whatever it may be.
And remember, it's been growing now. It's not that little guy you see.
Correct. It's been growing since the middle of August because that's when I didn't get in the ground till then. And okay, it's not 10-foot tall or anything, but it did grow and it did produce some buds. So, guess you can do that point thing if you want. So it's not hard.
It's all good. It's an opportunity to win some cool prizes. What the heck?
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I have some giveaways too again.
Pardon me?
I still have those giveaways, from the 3 Happy Cats. I still have those. I still have the mushrooms. And I have some 420 Vancouver lanyards to give away as well with samples of Icy Pot and some Gaze's papers. So we have more stuff. So come on, you guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Because I've committed myself to speaking at 420 in Vancouver in 2023.
Oh,
so
2020 next year already.
We're already planning next year already. Asia is all over it. Like 3 Happy Cats is the main sponsor now, which is our new magazine that's coming out too, THC Magazine. And so they are the sponsor this year for Vancouver 420. They're the organizers this year for Vancouver 420. We have some amazing announcements coming out and some amazing performers that are coming to play for us as well. So this 420 will be my first 420 ever in Vancouver. And I'm going to go and speak in front of 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people.
And you know, if you look at them, there's that old saying, look at a crowd and pretend they're all naked. So it makes it easier for you to talk to them.
You know what? I stood in front of,
I tried.
I stood up and I sang on Sunday night at the vigil with the deacon and stuff. And I haven't done that in 20 years. And I swear I never would. And I did. I got up and sang on Sunday night and nobody ran away.
Yes,
so,
yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Post.
So I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're still doing that singing on that platform wherever you're doing it before?
Yeah. I've got a few thousand fans.
Yeah.
Almost 5,000.
There you go.
Right? Yeah.
You just never know.
You never know. Well, no, it's just for fun. It's just for fun. But I mean, I've been singing my whole life, and it's something I really enjoy. So I decided to pick it back up again. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen.
Well, you know, you did your own intro song for your show.
I did. Right? I could do it better now. That was before I practiced for the last year and a half. That'll be for my new show coming up that I'm going to start again too.
Oh yeah. Time will tell. All right, what do you say? Time to bring in our guest?
Absolutely. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, it's time to, as I mentioned, our guest tonight is Ted Smith of the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club. Welcome, Ted. How you doing?
Hey, folks. Nice to see you.
How are you, Ted? You're looking kind of. You're looking kind of beardy there. I like it. Looks great.
Yeah, it's a new thing for me, really.
I think it looks great. How you feeling?
Thanks. I'm doing okay these days. I seem to have the rheumatoid arthritis a bit more under control. So
I feel you, bud.
Thanks for asking.
I feel you. I'm a rheumatoid arthritis sister. I feel you. So I got it too. Yeah.
That's right.
It sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of patients with arthritis and cannabis. Lots of patients.
Yeah. It helps. Sure. Doesn't help always, but it does help. Like, I'm not ever going to say that cannabis doesn't help me. It absolutely does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, one of the ironies with me is it hasn't helped out much at all. My main problem is really with my stomach, and what I eat is what's been triggering the arthritis attacks. And so my physical body is fine, and really it almost doesn't matter how much cannabis I consume. In fact, I just did a test on my stomach, and the bacteria levels are so high that I'm not converting the THC, into the bloodstream, or not getting it into the bloodstream. It's all getting eaten up by the bacteria that's dominating my stomach. So, yeah, I've got to do a few things to get my tummy working properly so I can get high again and not be feeling like this.
I understand that too with my colitis, because I absorb so quickly that that's why I don't eat edibles, because it absorbs and metabolizes so quickly that it absolutely does nothing to help me. And same with caps. That's why I pretty much I vape for instant relief, and I smoke because it helps with the pain, kind of like, and the inflammation. But because of my colitis too, it's a really hard balance, and our health is really hard to balance because there's so many different variables that go along, and especially with rheumatoid arthritis, because it's an overactive immune system, right? So it's like your cells are eating your other cells, and that's what causes all this inflammation. And that's how my rheumatoid specialist explained it to me. It's like, it's not like, it's like your cells don't want to get along, and they want to just cause, all this friction, and that friction is what's causing all the pain, right? So it's a really hard balance. I know even with food, because, nightshades, we're not supposed to eat tomatoes or potatoes or any of that kind of stuff. And with my colitis, I'm not allowed to eat, a lot of stuff. So it makes it's a hard balance.
I know some. I go through some of that stuff. I understand where you come from. But Ted, let's see. Well, we want to get right to her, Ted. Recent blogs and the Cannabis Digest, Health Canada, and the review that is going on. That they
Question
announced here recently.
5.2 says it all, eh?
Yeah, it's a question that obviously people should stand up and take notice of because we have seen this in the past.
Al, have we
Yeah.
heard about the ruling from October 4th yet? Have we heard anything?
No, I haven't. No. Here's that question, Ted, right there. 5.2 that I brought up on the screen.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a scary plan that they've really had in place for a long time. Like, coming into legalization, the Canadian Medical Association was looking forward to cannabis being legal so that the doctors would get taken out of the equation. So, if people said that I use cannabis as medicine, the doctor would be like, well, go down the street and, talk to somebody else. And so I know the medical community has been hoping for this day since they've had to deal with medical marijuana in the first place. I know the bureaucracy within Health Canada doesn't want to deal with patients and licenses and stuff anymore. So the bureaucracy wants it. I know that the cannabis industry itself wants this to happen, that they see medical as a loss financially, and a lot of extra time taken answering people's questions and product development and stuff. So there's really, and then there's of course the police associations that want to shut it down. There's really not a lot of groups.
Municipalities. You can always, like you were constantly reporting on the Reefer Reporters, but municipalities complaining about the designated growers and the gardens.
Yeah,
and the numbers,
the smells
and so
in the
on
neighborhood, and yeah. So there's a lot of people that are like, well, what about Allard? And certainly Allard was an important decision, but that was 8 years ago, and legalization has changed since, and people are allowed to grow their own, and they can buy it down the street. So the arguments of affordability and accessibility aren't really there anymore. The main issue that I see constitutionally that we have is the 10 milligram limit being an arbitrary line in the sand that they've drawn that's far too low. And so I think that there's some constitutional arguments for them to change that. But I could see them wanting to go back to court because they never really appealed Allard. Like Allard happened, and then they just like redesigned, went back to the drawing board.
It's still an injunction.
Part of the Allard case included affordability access as well, did it not?
No.
Yeah, it did, but that was before there was like $60 an ounce pot available in stores down the street.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean that was really basically for us to get our grow rates back too, because at that point in time the MMPR was coming into effect, and they basically wanted us to just send them our cannabis with cat litter and quit growing. And that's what the whole baseline was for that, because basically they wanted us all to start, and that was the whole point with the affordability, is because what the LPs wanted per gram, none of us could afford. So that was the affordability when it came to Allard, and why that was used as a baseline, because of the fact that growing our own gave us the ability to grow our own. And with the licensed producers, there was no affordability for patients.
Yeah, and I think that that's changed enough that the government's ready to go to court if they're challenged to do so.
Well, what's the average price at a store for a gram of cannabis? Is it?
Oh, it's cheap.
Is it?
Yeah, it's going down all the time.
All the time, and the quality's getting better and better. Like I said, I hate to say that, but I mean, for me, I've got access down the block. There's a store on every corner. For me to drive out to the res, which is an hour drive out there to get the medical things that I can make myself, because I have the ability to do that, where a lot of people don't. A lot of people are just using the stores. And the affordability, I can go and buy an ounce of weed for $100 out of the store. But Broken Coast's weed out of theirs ounces are still $191.99 plus tax. And there's another LP that just came out with one that's about, I'm not buying it. It's a 219.
How long will that last? Like, we've seen patients over the years where they've gotten into a certain strain, and some of them are children dealing with epilepsy, one in particular that I'm thinking about, that had a strain that was good, and all of a sudden found out that the licensed producer stopped producing.
That happens too.
Yeah. Now,
then that's why people have wanted to have the ability to grow their own, because they never have to lose that strain, right? So why would you it's, again, even with the 4 plant, we know that's not enough for extraction. We know that the reason why why people still access the ACMPR is because they need higher plant count than 4. But again, like, when you can walk into these places that have thousands of different stuff, they have everything. Like, you can buy tinctures, you can buy caps, you can buy suppositories, you can buy everything in these stores, and I brought that to their attention.
You can't buy high dose products.
No, they're not high dosed. They're all at a low dose. They're at 10 milligrams per packet. Yeah, right, exactly. So the dosing levels are not for patients. But again, the access is there for them. And for people that have never consumed it or were afraid to try it for medical, well, and that too. But again, because of access, like, we have to keep this in mind. Like, I'm not trying to be pro anything, but there are thousands and thousands of people out there that would have never tried anything. They would have never gone near cannabis for medical or anything. So what they do is they do their research, they come to us, they ask us questions, and then they go to the store and get what they need. Where before they would have never gone to that store to get anything, or they wouldn't even come and gotten it from me because it was illegal. And there's more and more senior citizens, I hate to say it, that are asking questions.
Yeah, they can't go to the store and ask those medical questions. But
they can't. They're asked to leave. It's a liability for the store owners, and that's the store owners have told me this. They cannot give any medical advice. They can't direct them in any way. It's a liability. And they would rather not have the caps and stuff in their stores because people come in asking about them, and they can't answer them. And the one store that I, went to and spoke to them about it, they say it's a liability. They'd rather not have it until the government figures out what they're doing with medical.
I think that's why I asked about that ruling. I bet you Ted's got an answer for that.
Well, that's where they need to license compassion clubs like ours, so that patients have storefronts with specialized products and staff that are often patients themselves that can give personal information on how the products are used and how they affect them, and
that's right.
And so having compassion clubs or storefronts that are licensed that are specialized in medical cannabis with lower prices and a better range of topicals and edibles, like you say, products that the recreational market for the most part isn't interested at all. Like, I'm sure most rec stores would be happy with like gummies, chocolate bars, and I don't even think they bother selling cookies anymore. I think gummies have just dominated the market
gummies
so much.
And the drinks, like the drinks are like the drinks and stuff seem to be a thing that people buy, right? Again, like, I could work in one now because they've dropped the criminal record thing about it, right? I won't. I just won't. I was offered a job at a licensed producer, and I just won't. I'll work for minimum wage at the bakery before I'm going to go work at a licensed production site. Like, I just can't. That's just me. I just can't. I can't. No, unless they would give me, the ability to give medical advice as a patient in a store, so I could help patients. I'm not doing it.
No, it's one of the things that I know here that we've always talked about is patient access and people to get access to, their medicine. And compassion clubs have always been the backbone. They're the ones that have been in the fight for years and years and years.
Well, we were, but we're about the last one standing now.
I was like Southern Alberta Cannabis Club. We've been gone for 10 years. When I left Lethbridge, we were shut down. I've tried to keep access for patients as being where I am and tried to help them. But once those legal stores opened, nobody came, rode, or fucking bothered. Nobody even asks me for icy pot anymore. Like, it's just been so sad because I had a decent home job where I didn't, have to. And now I've got a minimum wage job. So I basically had to retire. It broke my heart. Like, it's been really hard. It's been tough emotionally.
Well, hey, just think how Ted feels. He's been doing this all these years. He's got.
I know, right?
From my understanding, I think last time we talked, Ted was somewhere around 8,500 patients or something that are in.
Yeah, we're getting close to 8,700 now.
Yeah,
and those numbers should count.
and-
Those numbers should count. Those 8,700 people should count. And that's what bothers me so much about this, is that they're not looking at the number of people that actually access for medical need. They're not looking at that. So these people just don't count, and that's not right.
Yeah, and it's will their input count?
We
Ted,
fill out the consultations.
You've dealt with the government for this over the years, submitted stuff. You're submitting documentation for this review as well, correct?
Yeah, we're going to be putting in a pretty thorough response. We're going to make it public 1 week before the review is completed, so people can look at our answers and even cut and paste some of our answers to fill out the questionnaire themselves, or and so yeah. And then the last week, I'm going to be going on a bit of a media blitzkrieg and more of the mainstream media, trying to get some press to pay attention to the fact that the review is concluding, and there are a lot of patients and people like myself that are wanting to save the medical marijuana program and improve it, rather than allowing it to be either removed or just stagnate as it is, because there are certain things about the medical marijuana program that are good, but there's a lot of other things that aren't, like the excise tax and stuff. So the medical marijuana program, should be saved, and but at the same time, we've got to worry about just keeping it alive, let alone improving it. But we'll see how it goes.
Oh yeah, and it needs to be improved. Like, I know you mentioned the excise tax, and I hear the organizations and groups and stuff talking about that as well. Now, last I recall, like, it's been, I actually bought some off of the first supplier ever as far as the license, and that was the PPS gang there back in the old days. And so it's been a while. Are they still charging HST or PST or anything like that on the medical cannabis?
Yep, they sure are.
The people,
but you can also get your insurance company to cover a portion.
Why isn't the industry asking them to remove the taxes to patients, to exempt them from tax?
I think if you're a low income, there's some of the LPs had programs for low income patients, right? At one point in time, you had to make under a certain amount of money, and I believe it was low. They'd lower the price, give you 10% off, or I can't remember exactly, to be honest. But that was what way back when we first had to get these LP licenses and MMPR. This is way back, right? And there was I was never low income, so I never got a break, and it was expensive, right? My provider was Broken Coast. It was the first one I went with.
Right.
And then they came out with Canamart. With Canamart, you could get from any of the other, they're all kind of combined. Again, I don't know anymore because I don't bother with it. I don't have a license anymore.
I'm one of those early patients that was involved with Ted to trying to get the word out to protect gardens. Ted's been in this fight for years. Led it right to the Supreme Court of Canada. So yeah, I can see why he's got the ears are up and getting.
Well, that's why I was so interested about that court case, because you said that the ruling for that court case, Ross said it was October the 4th. And it's now well past the 4th of October.
Yeah,
so I'm wondering what happened there, because that would have made a huge difference for medical patients if it, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what we were kind of hoping for.
The clubs as well. Now,
right.
Ted, when it comes to this question or questions, because there's 3 questions here that I see on this. Here, I'll bring the screen back.
In section 5, there's the 3 questions.
Yeah. There's the 3 questions. I lost the share screen. I gotta bring it back up. There we go. One more. It's just so many clicks. There we go. Yeah, it asks if I look at this question as two parts. It says, as far as the 5.2, I'm going to go back to the 5.1 right now. Come on, page. It says, what are your views on the current medical access program? Now, it's an open public question, obviously, out there to 38 million
What are
people.
your views on the current market access program for Canada? Medical access program. So there's two questions there.
No, what are your views on the
I'm reading the
current
bottom one.
medical access program? Pardon me?
Oh, well, that's a great question. And they should be good. I mean, they're going to listen to any of our answers. We need to pump this out. We need to actually get people to answer this question.
And this
Everybody.
is what Ted's doing. So there's that question. They're asking millions of people on a program that 50,000 people are using. And there's a lot of people out there who are against the program. So I would, and you named off a lot of organizations. So I'm, concerns what could go into there. And then this is that one that you've brought the attention to, which is number 2. And I look at that as two different parts, and it's pretty straightforward. And it asks, is a distinct medical access program necessary to provide individuals reasonable access for medical purposes? That just, is the program worth keeping?
Yeah.
And that's being asked to, 38, available to 38 million Canadians that are out there. And a lot of them don't know anything about the program. And unfortunately, their opinions may count more than the patients.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really scary that the services being provided to people on disability can be left to public opinion as to whether or not they're being respected or not. And so this is something that really is quite abhorrent to be even considered, especially given how patients' rights were established, in court, and if it weren't for patients fighting for those rights, we wouldn't be seeing legalization as it exists.
Exactly.
And so
Right.
it's really terrible to think that legalization could in fact end any medical marijuana program in Canada, so that patients with cancer and in palliative care are forced to pay the same prices and have the same access to products that a 20-year-old college student has. And so it's unfair, and really something that's all about the money. And I know Wall Street wants out of this because the insurance companies don't want to be paying for it. The medical system doesn't want to even talk about it. They just want to shove it out the door. So if cannabis is available recreationally for everybody and everybody can grow it, then those there's, I think, a really scary kind of situation here, where we could easily see too many people respond to the negative to that answer, and not enough patients that need cannabis and use cannabis. Because you mentioned the 50,000. Now those are the ones with the licenses to grow or designated growers, but I believe there's also hundreds of thousands of people that are using the mail order program still. In particular, the one group that I think is being hasn't been kind of contacted or aware of what's happening here would be the veterans, because we used to have a lot of veterans come to our club, but now most veterans just get their insurance companies to pay for LP pot to be mailed to them. And I'm sure that nobody's ringing the alarm bells in that community to say, hey, everybody, the chopping block has been, put up there. And if we don't do something now, we could see this program axed, and axed for good.
Well, to be honest, this isn't new. Because my doctor, this is the reason why I'm not licensed anymore. My medical doctor here signed my paperwork, right? No problem, both buying an oven so we could have our 150 plants. As soon as legalization came into effect, I was told Why would I prescribe you 15 grams a day when you can walk into a store and get 30? And she actually told me the clinic would no longer allow her to sign my paperwork.
Yep.
Wow.
And I wasn't going to these 420, whatever online things. So I have to sign up for a licensed producer because that's the only way you can get a licensing for free. They wouldn't give me a grow license, and I refused to pay a doctor for a fucking license for a plant that I should be able to grow as many as I want or as many as I need. And that's why I'm not licensed. In fact, I don't even grow anymore. That's how broken I am. I can't even.
On that note,
there's that.
Yeah. It's time for us to go to a break. What do you say? Break time, Tamara?
Yeah.
Just think you got time for a dip. All right, Ted, we'll be back after a break. We'll be back. We'll take about 2 minutes. Don't worry. We'll bring you right back in on the conversation. We've got some more questions. So off we go. This is Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook pages, Twitter, YouTube, plus we're being podcasted afterwards at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone. The only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Work's done.
Hey, we're back. You're watching the Pace Radio Show. We're here. We're live on the Pace Radio Network's YouTube channel, Facebook pages, Twitter, and so on and so forth. Today in the program, we're joined by our guest, who is virtually sitting beside us, and that's Ted Smith of the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club.
I want to apologize because I sound so angry, but I've been so busy working. I'm just reading this now about them wanting to take out, now it's just kind of sinking in that they want to actually take out the medical marijuana program completely. This is just kind of sinking in because I haven't read this until today. So that's what you're telling me, right?
That's why I'm trying to raise alarm bells, Tamara. That is the government's plan, is they want to eliminate the entire program.
Okay, that's not, okay.
That's
I'm
why I'm trying to yeah.
I'm on board 110%. I just didn't know what was going on. Now I know.
Most people don't, right? That's why I'm saying,
Okay. I'm sorry if I sounded
industry, the media hasn't picked up on it. None of the cannabis news sites are really saying anything other than there's this general review that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, there's no
Yeah, because I
patient
hadn't had
groups that
time
are
to
out
read
there
it.
beating the drum.
That's what I got when I saw Ted's article. I got
Oh,
on the. I thought,
God.
okay, I gotta get a hold of Ted, but it was a Thanksgiving weekend, and I thought I'm not going to bother Ted with the radio show
I
over the
didn't know
Thanksgiving
anything about
weekend. I'm
this.
going to let him have the weekend. I'll get a hold of him on Tuesday morning, just like I did, and they said we got to get Ted on here so we can let people know what's going
Does
on
Debbie
here.
know this? I haven't talked to Deb. I bet you Deb doesn't even know that. She hasn't had time to sit down and read it. I think that's the problem. A lot of us haven't had time to sit. Like I knew about the review, but I hadn't had time to sit down and read it. And now that you brought this to my attention, you're fucking kidding me, right?
No.
Okay, this cannot happen. This cannot
We've
happen.
got the fight of our lives happening here.
Yeah. Okay.
We do.
Well, my boots are on. Yeah. Now I'm reading it again. And I'm just like during the break, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like they want to like take this program away from everybody. Like,
no, there's
you know how many people fought and died to get that program?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
No.
That's a big fat no.
There's I've seen Ted's article on it, blog on it, and then I saw a comment on a social media site about they thought that they didn't mention TED or Cannabis Digest or anything specific. They just said that there was an article going around that was raising fears, and they thought it was was being a little bit on the extreme side of things. But Ted's not the only one, and who's got an article or something about this. Medical Cannabis Canada, they bring up the same thing. They're an organization across Canada that accesses for patients, and they're questioning the same thing. They have it right there on their main page about that question, and they say that
the thing is, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they say that stakeholders have to be we have known for some time that a number of stakeholders have wanted the elimination of the medical access framework, and they're saying the same thing as your Ted. So if somebody's going around thinking that somebody's just throwing out a bunch of conspiracy theories, no, there is legit concern here that this information is being received, and it may not happen tomorrow, but that information is there.
They wouldn't be asking that question if they weren't really looking to go in that direction. Every other time that the government's put out surveys of any kind, they've already had in mind what they're doing, and they're just looking for ways and means to justify it. And so
they wouldn't be asking that question if they hadn't been questioned that themselves, knowing what I know about how the government works, right? So if they weren't being questioned about this themselves, the legitimacy of it, the cost of it, the whole nine, if they weren't being asked themselves, they wouldn't be asking the public about it. So some lobbyist, some group, some stakeholders, whoever that, group of people have been picking at them and asking them, what do we need this for? We got legalization now, blah, blah, blah.
No, nobody has to pick at them. Health Canada hates the medical marijuana program. They're looking for any way to get out of it. They already tried once.
That's what I mean.
Now that legalization has happened, they see this as their opportunity to finish it off and just deal with everybody all the same.
Well, they never wanted to recognize it as medical anyway. I said that to them before.
That's why it doesn't have a DIN number.
When are they going to recognize it as medical? And they never will.
Because they don't want to give it a DIN number, because then it would be tax exempt. And that's something that they never want to do. If they have their way here, then they'll be able to just kind of cut it off, and they'll have a clean kind of situation for themselves legally, where everybody will be just treated all the same, and it'll all be about profits, and doctors and patients won't talk about something that should be the number one thing that doctors prescribe when people are in pain or have inflammation problems and stuff like that, right? So instead of having this be the number one painkiller, they're still prescribing opioids at ridiculous rates, and they should be giving out high dosage edibles instead. And we're going in the complete opposite direction of that, and more people are dying every month. So it's really.
I think they touch on that a bit in 5.3. They ask the question, are there specific reforms that you would recommend? So they're asking, what do you suggest to recommend for the program? But to ask, I thought, okay, well, that's good to see that. But that question 5.2, yeah, it's a scary question, very scary question.
Like, what in the actual fuck? They were ordered in court. They don't have a choice. They can't just take this program out.
This is what I was saying, though, Tamara. What I was saying before about Allard and even Parker, that was pre-legalization. When, as you were saying a minute ago, like access to cheap cannabis is readily available for patients.
True.
The old arguments that you had with the court cases you hold dear are gone.
Yeah,
that's history now. We're talking about the situation has evolved. Everybody down the street can grow 4 plants.
But what about the Smith ruling? Does that not help us?
Well, that's why I said there's a constitutional issue with the 10 milligrams, right?
Because
that's one of the main ones.
Right.
There may be some constitutional arguments over the taxation and the excise tax in particular.
Right.
But honestly, the access arguments that Allard won on, I don't think are as strong. And I think the government has, if the government gets the right judge, they'll win.
But the 4-plant limit would be, is the government ready to allow people to grow as many plants as they want to?
No, stick with the 4 plants.
That's not enough for a patient.
Well, I guess they're prepared to go to court to argue that.
Because then even with a medical license, you get 5 per gram.
Hear me out. Every time we've won an argument in court, whether it's Thakopolis, Hitzig, Smith, there's Barron, there's a whole series of case law here. Every single time we've won, the government's come back with an incremental, very small change where they may add, okay, well, now you can sell to 1 more patient. Right now, okay, we'll allow edibles, but it's 10 milligrams. They don't just let the door throw open, and they constantly do things to test that. And so they're going to want to test it again and see, like maybe a judge will agree that 4 plants, and if you run out of the 4 plants and your neighbor won't give you any, well, then you got to go to the store. And if you can't afford that, well, then, the constitutional law is bare minimum standards. It's really not what's best. But I really think that when it comes to the pot end of things, and I hate to say this because I don't want to lose Patient Gardens, quite the opposite. But from a legal point of view, they actually have a good case to argue, and one that they're clearly not afraid of going to court on, or they wouldn't have put that question out there.
Yeah, patients. Here we go again, having to hopefully, it's like somebody. What if someone says to you, okay, well, the government runs this medical program as part of the Cannabis Act. Why shouldn't they ask if the program is necessary? It's part of the Cannabis Act. Why shouldn't they?
I guess when the Cannabis Act was brought in, the premise was that the medical marijuana program would be improved upon. That was the rhetoric that was used, that it would improve the medical marijuana program, not just dismantle it. Like from what I recall, back when the Harper government was bringing in the MMPR and trying to take away gardens in the first place, they estimated that the medical marijuana industry in Canada would be a $20 million industry by 2020. And so, it's a big potential market here that these corporations are looking at as their profit that's being lost so there's no one in the industry with any incentive here to keep the medical marijuana program. And
to licensed producers, how many of them are specifically medical?
Well, they all, I think, go into both.
Well, I think the bigger ones are, but here's, part of the problem again is that, the big companies that have got the medical license and all the things covered aren't the small craft, kind of LPs that are producing the really high quality cannabis. And so like the small craft growers that have LP licenses don't have enough incentive to get a medical license because there's such small potatoes in the big field, and it's a lot of extra paperwork. And then you have to have a medical expert around to be able to answer people's questions. And then you're going to be asked to give them a discount as well. And so, there's really no incentive. I was just talking to someone the weekend, makes no sense for a small LP to get a medical license, but that's where the patients would want it to come from. They don't want it to come from these large scale corporations that are just producing, cheap, low grade products.
I think Broken Coast is probably still doing both sides as a provider, and they're still small batch.
It's not, as far as I know, most of them seem to focus on the recreational market versus, focusing on the patient end of things, and it just seems to be happening less and less, and unfortunately, we're being sort of phased out slowly, but.
But more people are using it medically than ever, and
that's what I mean. More people use it for medical purposes. More people are using CBD for all kinds of things. You know what I mean? But they can get the CBDs in the rec stores, and that's another thing that's a conundrum to me. What's recreational about CBD? What's recreational about lube? What's lotions? You know what I mean? What's recreational about any of these bath and beauty products? Those aren't recreational things, but they're selling them in the stores. It just blows me.
I know there's a store.
Suppositories, suppositories. What's recreational about a suppository?
I've seen a wellness section inside of a legal store,
right?
Which really I went, what? Is that not sort of frowned upon when it comes to a recreational store?
Depends, I guess, on what province you're in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Ted, provinces are different.
As far as these, specific reforms that could be recommended, I'm sure there's you're like you said, you're going to write up something to submit that people can look at and go through. But I don't know if there's anything that, there's some pretty obvious things when it comes to the dosing. If they could do something like that, could they set up a system where there is a medical dose instead of just keeping everybody stuck at that same 10 milligrams?
Oh, they could certainly.
Unmuzzle the bartenders. They need to unmuzzle the people that are working in the stores.
To bring a compassion club on board as licensing, obviously, you've got an established framework and everything that you run under. Is there something that you could create or do that would allow you to, or the government could set up to allow businesses like yourself to establish a medical framework within a recreational store where patients could go in and ask questions?
In a way that, the gold standard wouldn't be to just have, medical dispensaries like ours licensed, but to also have a sort of registered cannabis medical practitioner license per se, where, patients kind of like a pot nurse could take a course that, goes through all the different products and uses of cannabis and, qualifies a person to be a medical bud tender, essentially, so they could answer questions, phone, email, or in a store. And then that way we would be able to have, really, good qualified information that's being shared that's consistent, from storefronts and medical dispensaries online across the country, and then that would give us a good, sort of focus group in a sense to, have the newest medical information come out and be dispersed amongst people that are working in the field as well. So, the real gold standard would be to have, sort of like a cannabis naturopath would be, I guess, the best comparison, or, and so, when people are talking about, improvements to the program, certainly, compassion clubs would be one, getting rid of the excise tax would be another, allowing high dosage edibles would be another. But the ultimate would be, and I think eventually will be, something that you have, sort of, not quite medical experts, because I don't think there'd be a, any kind of, medical education attached to it per se. Although there may be some just like basic human anatomy that people would need to know for this as well.
Some sort of certification. Yep.
Yeah, but a certification program, I think, would be, the direction that we would be going in if we had a positive government that realized, how much they would save in prescription drugs and, surgeries and doctor's visits and other things if they really embrace this. Like I say, the opioid crisis could be, essentially avoided in many ways if they'd been shoveling out high dosage edibles rather than the stuff they've been spilling out for decades.
Yeah.
So,
well, hey, if you ever need anybody to talk about that, help with that, I know I'm one, and there's others. Yeah, avoided the opioid route because of the cannabis end of things.
Right.
I know you've got a blog up there at Cannabis Digest as well that I've got here. And that's on the Compassion Clubs Belong in the Heart of the Medical Cannabis Program. And
yeah, just put that one up today. Yeah, like I said, I'm putting up a blog once a week now that are focused on different aspects of the program and the review. And it's something that I really feel the need to beat a drum. We have till November 21st here to get as many people to fill out this survey as possible. And so I want to really, help give people a full understanding of why this is so threatening and what we can do about it. Because, in many ways, our club is fighting for our life as well. We're trying to get an exemption from Health Canada or the courts. But if there isn't even a medical marijuana program, then we ain't getting no exemption to operate here. It's just, it's over, right? So, in a crazy way, this, is a critical part of our application. And if we're able to turn the tide and get enough responses to save and improve the program, well, then that might be the push that Health Canada needs to actually seriously consider our exemption and make the type of reforms necessary to make the medical program much more functional than it has been for the last, since its inception, really.
As we know, there's always been a problem with the program, and that's why we've always had to go to court in order to fight things, in order to make changes in the program. But this is the first time that this question's ever been asked in regards to it and whether it should survive or not. Good to see you back, Tamara. Where'd you go?
I hit the wrong button.
Okay. Yeah.
I went to share the program. Yeah. I went to hit the more so I could share this because I wanted to share it, and I hit the wrong button.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's important to get the word out.
I'm like I said, I'm flabbergasted. Like I'm just sitting here like absorbing all this in, and I'm grateful we have Ted on because like really we need to fight. We need to get our boots back on, and it's time, and raise them back up, and let's get marching because this is horrible.
Why ask the question? Okay, let's see. Just so you know, we've got a message here from it just came in. It comes from I'm not sure exactly who wrote it, but it comes from the East Coast program down there.
Substitution program? That'd probably be
Correct.
Chris Becker. Hi, Chris
More
Becker.
likely, Chris. As you can see,
Hey,
there he
Chris.
says he comments that I find a funny connection between the question 5.2 and section 5.2 of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, a possession for the purposes. He wonders if
Right?
it's a coincidence. See?
Hard to say.
That's a
If they
good
were both
question.
4.2, then there would be definitely a coincidence.
Right. Oh, good grief. But exactly. So, we have the substitution programs running on both sides of of Canada. And what would happen to them? They're just working with people with medical need. Like, they just need to be do that. Like, I'm just flabbergasted. I'm just like,
what? Yeah. We always seem to be fighting. It just doesn't make sense. No? Just like that song.
Well, it's always been a war of the elite against the poor since cannabis became talked about in history. Even the rules that Moses was given with the 10 Commandments were keep the oil to the priest, don't let the general population use the cannabis oils anymore. And then we had certainly prohibition during the ages of the witch hunts, and then the reefer madness, and now with legalization, we've just seen this very sharp and dramatic change where the rich have decided that they want all the profit and are doing everything they can to squeeze the lower and middle class out of the business itself, unless they want to have a front-end retail job. But the real sad part of this whole transition has been that the poor have often ended up being the ones that are selling cannabis or have sold cannabis under prohibition just to kind of be able to afford to smoke in the first place, and maybe
or
have
even
some
be
money
able
on
to
the table.
maybe put a roof over their head, or a
Right.
plate of food on the table for the young child.
And so they were the ones paying the price for it under prohibition, and now they don't have any real opportunity to get into the growing or distributing end of it unless they've and so it's quite sad to see
or if
how
you
it's
have a
going.
criminal record for cannabis during prohibition times, you're fucked.
Yep.
Just so you know, the East Coast says hello.
That's Chris.
And that's Chris. Yeah. What he also mentions here, and it probably I'm going to assume may affect you as well, Ted. It says that he says
right,
that he said lose my donations from growers, and he uses those donations to help people with addictions and people on the street.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's exactly like there's so many designated growers that actually stopped too, because of the fact that legalization has made the price of cannabis through the bottom of the barrel. Like, it's $300 a pound out here, and it's like, so for them, it's not worth the overage to where you're going to take it. Well, all the dispensaries that they could take it to got shut down. Right, all the chemical passing clubs are shut down. Right. So they just quit designated growing, a lot of them. And that's the reason, because they had nowhere to take the overage. They had nowhere to offset the free, helping that patient. Right. I know for several that just stopped.
He also comments that we see that he still helps people with the license access, and he says it can't be allowed to end. So he agrees that this program, even though it has its problems and it has its restrictions, it can't be allowed to end.
No.
So, all right. I see it's top of the hour, break time again. So we'll head off for that commercial break, pay some bills. When we return, we'll continue our conversation with Ted Smith. You're watching or listening to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here, and we'll be back shortly.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone.
The only way to go.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Tonight in the program, we're joined by our guest, as you can see, Ted Smith of the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club. We've been talking about the review of the Cannabis Act and what effect it can have on patients. Questions 5.2 in particular are very concerning. It should be a concern to patients. We've seen gardens and before, government attempt to take it away and make things very hard for patients. So why ask a question like this? Why? I don't know. But Ted, during the two commercial breaks, you would have seen that we're running a promo there on the situation that you ran into earlier over the at the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club, and some heavy fines for a total of around $6.5 million. Have you got an update on that? Anything that you can share with us to let us know where that stands?
No, actually we don't. We're really waiting for the province to set a hearing date. And I guess we keep throwing curveballs at them, so they haven't done that yet. But our lawyers are ready with us to file an application in court. But we're not rushing into it. As Tamara said, there's other cases that are decisions that are coming down that we're looking forward to that would be very helpful for us. And so, we're not really in a rush to get to court for a bunch of reasons, actually. There may be a few things happening that make us want to get in front of a judge before the next year. But, for the most part, I think time works to our advantage right now. So we're going to milk it.
Right?
Yeah.
Take advantage of whatever you can. Because they don't give anything away. I just can't. Like I said, I just can't even. I'm gonna have to sit down after the show and read through this and like probably write an article about it because now I'm mad.
There you go. You're writing again. There you go. The because like Tamara, you mentioned the Howell case. That has something to do with compassion centers, is it not?
Which one's that?
The Howell
case. Yeah, that's a very critical decision that we're waiting for the Alberta Court of Appeal to make a ruling on, because it addresses both the access arguments that we're making to the system, essentially, saying that the mail order system doesn't work for the poor in particular, but it also addresses the 10 milligram limit as well. So in a lot of ways, we have relied upon the Howell decision in our exemption application. We, in fact, even submitted their entire transcripts to show not only do we have evidence in favor of our arguments, but in court, Health Canada dismally failed in trying to back up any of their decisions like the 10 milligram limit. They really have no defense. And so we submitted affidavits that were used in that case, and have transitioned to Jack Lloyd, the same lawyer from the Howell case. And that one, I think, will be huge, partly because the Court of Appeal will be binding. So it'll be much like the Parker decision, the Hitzig decision and stuff. It's not a lower court decision like the Allard one was, that wasn't quite as strong.
Right. Well, they won the first portion of that.
I know they won the lower court. That's why it's gone to the Court of Appeal.
Right.
And so,
because they won it, right? Yeah. So the government appealed it, which is what they were waiting for, because they were going to go all the way through with the constitutional challenge. They were waiting to see if the government would appeal it, and they did. So now, because the government's appealed it, it leaves it into the hands of them having to prove why they shouldn't win that case. So they won't be able to. There's too much good evidence in the first trial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna send out a message to see if I can get an answer to that question tomorrow.
Which one? Oh yes, see if you can. Yeah, to be fair, I haven't talked to Sarah too much since Maya's passing. They've been kind of off grid and doing their thing, so I hope they're doing okay.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking what's happened there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have her fish though in my fish tank. When they moved to Fort St. James, they gave me the three of Maya's fish, and I went up to Fort St. James and seen them once when like a year, I think it was 2 years ago now, right just during kind of COVID. But she left the three fish with me, and I still have one of her fish. Two of them aren't, but I still have one left, and he's like huge. Yeah. Because they lived here in Cranbrook for a while, right? So I got to know them really well and got to be really connected to the family. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember you went up there too and visited them.
I did. Yeah, I did visit them up there. Yeah. And like I said, it's been a rough for the last, year and a half. So I would just kind of let her, when she contacts me, and just kind of, it's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, we got about another 20 minutes left here, guys. To
raise the alarm bell.
People can fill out this form and send into the government.
And write letters to your damn MP, and write letters to your MLA, and write letters to the goddamn media too, because this is, if people aren't hearing about this, but the MPs need to know that there are still patients out there. Like, maybe we've gotten like slack ass because we haven't had to go sit in an MP's office for a while. Maybe it's time to go protest again. Maybe it's time to go sit in an MP's office and say, hey, are you aware that there are still people that need medical access? What is this? And ask the MP the question, what is this? Make them go to Health Canada and ask them, what is this? Send mail, email them, ask questions. Never mind filling out that form, fill that out too, but start making we need to make some noise. We do. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry.
People
because
say,
if the MPs, nobody's asking questions, if we're all just sitting back filling out a form, but they're not going to pay attention to what we have to fucking say anyway, because they never have before. Some of us sat at the round tables for legalization and went and took trips to go and sit and give them, and talk to them. Where did that get us? This shit ass program that we're stuck with. So no, we need to go back to our MP's offices. We need to start writing letters, and we start media, and we need to start making some noise. It's just, that's what has to be done. or nothing will get done.
I think Ted would agree. He needs many people like yourself who've just come really aware of this to get excited to do something about it.
Like we still use for medical need. Like no matter how you slice it, whether I got a license or not, I'm still a patient.
Correct.
So I'm now mad. So it's time to
Go ahead, Ted.
Well, I was going to say that, this is in a sad way. This is nice to hear, Tamara. I'm sorry that I had to be the one to burst the bubble here on you.
No, but it's all good. I'm glad it was you.
Something that I've been in contact with a number of different activists across the country. Jeff Lundstrom was talking to me on the weekend about this because he's just found out what's going on and wants to get involved, and a lot of other patients and people that I've known over the years that are still around that didn't I jump over and fail in the legal system, want to keep fighting, and we're not giving up. I guess they can take our plants away from our cold dead hands, I guess would be the way to put it.
That's pretty much what I would say.
So
from my door,
at this point,
and
we do need to do everything and anything possible. For the most part right now, I've had pretty limited expectations. I don't have a national newspaper anymore, so to try to organize the protests that we've done historically is a little much for me. But I do have the Cannabis Digest, and I'm trying to get blogs. I'm getting some guest writers to put in blogs as well to help focus on some of the nuances of why this is unfair and why the medical program needs to be saved. There's still weeks ahead, so there may be opportunities to do things. I remember in the past we did a phone jam or two that were very effective. So that's one thing that I've considered doing if enough people are ready to raise a big stink that in the final days of the survey to do a phone jam and kind of shut down a few offices in Ottawa for a day.
Russell Barth's still out there on the other side of the dark side. He's there. Like him and Christine are still in Ottawa. Like Deb's still out in Nova Scotia. Like I said, Chris is still out in Nova Scotia too. Like we just have to network with our friends. We just have to rile up our friends. And there's still lots of us that are, that are still involved that haven't gone to the dark side, that didn't join the legalization regime, right? Like I said, I gave up. I'm working at a bakery, Ted. So you know what I mean?
in the past, there was an email list that many of us were on.
And it's still there.
I was talking with Owen Smith the other day, and at first I didn't like the idea a lot, but the more I think about it, the more I think we need to kind of resurrect and create a new one. Whether it exactly
just go and send an email out because Deb still got it. It's still there. All you got to do is go click on your little email and send it out to the Cannabis Coalition. If it's in your inbox as a contact like it is in mine, just go and send it out because Lisa Kirkman, every once in a while I'll get an email from Lisa and she's used it too. So it's still there. Just try and send out a message because I believe it's still active. Like it's not been used for a long time, but I think Deb will got the server. I would just send out a message. I would just send out a message.
That would give you access to already set an established.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to get a new email set up. You already got one there. Just try and send out a testing, and I'll send you back. Got it, and we'll see if it works.
You might need.
Okay, I don't think I use the email anymore that I used back then, so I'll try and dig that up. But
or get a hold of Deb Harper. I can get a hold of Deb Harper for you and see if the coalition's still set up. I can absolutely do that for you.
Because it almost seems to make sense to me to kind of start up a fresh one. We could put an email out in that one to say if there's anybody left alive that wants to help fight.
Then we can do that too.
New one. And then there might be a little less infighting if we kind of start from
And there may be
scratch.
new people too, right? Well, that too, old people that might not necessarily still be involved, and people that
and
are
there may be a
new.
lot of dead email addresses in that old
Right.
system as
Yeah.
well.
That's true.
So I
That's
think we're
mine.
gonna kind of resurrect something like that and get a good email list going amongst those of us that are, you know, kind of working in the background, in case we need to start up another coalition again to raise funds, or, you know, whatever, you know, protests and such that we,
Yeah.
you know, decide to do. You know, and so it's something that obviously I'm willing to be a part of, but I need a lot more other people to be more active. I've got a club on my hands here and a full-time
And
fight to stay alive, and patients and stuff to deal with. So, you know, I can't do anything like at that scale, but certainly if the answer comes out in the negative here, there will be a court case happening by one means or another. So it would be good to have, you know, the supports in place sooner than later for that. And so, I think that will be one thing that people will do, and that won't be the average, you know, consumer by any means. That'll be, you know, like us, those that are invested in legalization, working for people. But you know, that was something that was instrumental in the fight towards legalization, and then it was like legalization hit, and it just petered away. And I think we
that's a
needed
good
more.
idea. Chris just put up a comment, Al, about organizing group sessions for people to answer the government survey at libraries and halls for as many people as we can get. So run off the surveys, or, you know, to help people fill them out. I think they have to be filled out online. So we'd
I
have
think
to
so.
have
Yeah.
laptops. I don't think it's maybe it is a paper thing too. Maybe it is paper too? I'm not sure.
I didn't look that far.
That I don't know. I have it here, but I
Because
think
not everybody has access to the internet, so they better damn well have it so you can get it mailed out. So we should get either get a bunch mailed. They have to. Library computers. Oh, Chris, library computers. Good idea. Good idea, Chris. The libraries have free computers. Why you get them to come to the library?
It can only be submitted electronically from this, anyways.
Okay, but that's fine, because Chris just said that's why they're going to go to the library, because the libraries have free computers, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
that's an excellent idea. Excellent idea.
This is all over in 60 days, but obviously, something tells me
we've done magical things in 60 days.
Yeah, it has to be mailed in 60 days, but you're looking at going beyond that as far as keeping the noise up, keeping that awareness going, that this question and this possibility could happen down the road.
Well, it seems practical both in the short term and potentially in the long term, that you know, to try to organize a response here to get as many people to answer this as possible, I think is you know, kind of worth doing, because, you know, a lot of us are using all sorts of different sites. You know, I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. I just started TikTok, but then there's Twitter out there, and then I never even go on Reddit. Like there's all these different forums
too many,
that
man.
people use, right? And so, and they all have algorithms, right? So when you're on Facebook, you only get to see a certain percentage of your friends' posts. So if we're using an email, then anytime, you know, I come out or I publish an article, or there's something in the news, or because or we get a letter, like I understand, like the Canadian AIDS Society is writing a response, and the Arthritis Society, like we're trying to work through our channels in the researcher community to get as many responses from professionals that work in policy and stuff in the research community as well. So, you know, when we get those kinds of letters that come out and tell the government that they need to save the medical program, then, you know, we can share that information and get that to the media and or whoever would be best suited for it. And yeah, I just see the ability to use email to rapidly share information, and again, you know, potentially work to end the activist kind of movements that we do towards the end would be very beneficial. And then, the questions will be over. It's submitted. I don't see the list being used a lot, although we may use it to keep ourselves updated on different cases that are happening in court and stuff, because it's always good to get legal opinions on developing case law. That was one of the better uses it served in the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if they come out with an answer and go, okay, yeah, enough people said they want to save medical marijuana, these are the improvements, maybe we'll put it to the group. Should we bother keeping this? But if they come out to the negative, then I think that group will be invaluable as a base upon which to launch a constitutional challenge.
Yep. On the long term, you betcha. I agree.
Yeah, we got to plan. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot since this has come to me about how to deal with it on a national level. It's a really sad reality that we have one of the last compassion clubs left standing, and out of anyone in this sort of movement, I seem to have the resources and the skills. I have the Cannabis Digest website. I have connections to all sorts of people in and out of the industry here that I'm going to call upon because this is one of the most critical fights that I've had my entire career, in many ways possibly the biggest, because like I say, if there's no medical marijuana program, then there's not much of a career left for me in helping patients, because that's and it would just break my heart. Like, I want to have palliative care centers for cancer patients, growing their medicines on site and do all these wonderful things, but this would completely,
it would totally take that away. It would totally alleviate any use. And like I said, they've been looking at this is bad.
Yeah. Not good. All right, we're down to about 8 minutes here. We should get into the shout out, and if there's any strangling questions or information. Actually, I do have one quick question or note to let you know. If you got anything that you want to run as a promo to bring awareness, let me know. All right, and I'll put something on, just like I did for the deal with your fine situation. It's patients helping patients, and
you know what? I just right now just thought of getting Owen to make up a poster that we can put up in different stores to encourage people to respond. We can we can work on something like that so that different head shops and stuff can be like, did you know there's a or did you know there's a review of the Cannabis Act? Did you know the medical marijuana program could be canceled?
Yeah, we have
the links and stuff like that, right? So we'll have some posters soon that you'll be able to distribute to different locations, and obviously share on social media.
So how would this affect the stores on the reservations too? Because they're using the medical, or is there recreational? Like, how would that affect them?
They've got distinctly different arguments with what they're doing.
Okay.
So I really don't think that it will affect
them
that much. No.
Just so you know, Chris says, let the government know we still want our garden. That's right. Yeah. You get a poster together like that, Ted. I'll make sure that I put something together in order to run through here, so to help spread the word.
Me too. I'll have it splattered everywhere, and I'll make sure that I'm getting the word out to everybody that I know too. So let's just like I said, we just have to unite, come together, and fight this fight.
Even if that's not their end goal, it lets them know that, hey, even if you attempt to think to use this information for something down the road in any type of argument in a court, that patients are going to speak up. We're not just going to lay back and go dormant.
Yeah, they need for every one person that says shut the program down, we need 10 people to say it needs to stay open.
Well, who says
so
they want to
they
shut it
can never
down?
open this question up again.
Is
If
there
it's
people that
even
want to
close,
shut it down? Who
there's a
would want
lot
to
of
shut
people
them?
that want to shut it down.
Why? What does it do?
Um,
What does it harm them?
Well, it harms a lot of people's pocketbooks in different ways. Certainly, the realtor community would be an example because, they hate having grow ops in houses.
Houses,
The
municipalities,
the people that work in fire and police want it all shut down because
home
it's a
insurance
nuisance to
companies.
them. Insurance companies want it shut down.
Holy fuck.
Pretty much every industry that deals with medical cannabis wants that program shut down so that there's no more grow ops. People that own apartment buildings and landlords of any type, they don't want people growing pot on their properties. So, they want it shut down. I think healthcare professionals are tired of being asked about medical cannabis. So, it's outside of their knowledge realm and they don't want to have to deal with it anymore. So the medical community, there
You think
isn't
the
a
medical
single
community will embrace this?
there isn't a single group of professionals that want to save this. Name one group that's out there that would like to keep the medical marijuana program. There isn't one. We've got Health Canada's entire bureaucracy against us. We've got every municipality in the country that wants this over. We've got, this is a big fight here, right? And
I can't believe this. It's fucking crazy.
it's kind of sickening what we have to do, but we have
Yeah,
to fight
it's
for
just
our
like
lives.
I just can't even because without the medical marijuana program, there would be no legalization program. There'd be no legalization. So, what's the end game on this? You take out medical, then what's your deal with recreational? Like, if all these entities want to take medical out, what do they want to do? Take out legalization too, so that we're back to fucking prohibition?
No, they want legalization to rule the day, and they make all the money and with the least amount of effort.
Well, yeah.
So Ted, in our last few minutes here, where can people follow along on your blogs and reports that you're going to be putting out?
Well, the Cannabis Digest is definitely the best website that you can go to keep up to date on, both our responses to this and others. Like I say, we'll be publishing a few other guest blogs leading up till November 21st when the survey's over. I'm kind of using that as the best place. And, we're sharing stuff around, like I say, on TikTok and Twitter and all the interwebs. So, but the Cannabis Digest is the best place to go to, where the whole series of articles will be easily accessible.
Good. Just so you know, I sent you a connection request on LinkedIn. It's pending.
Okay. Cool.
I need to get 130 or 150 followers or something in order to be able to broadcast live onto LinkedIn. So trying to get another platform so we can reach more people, make people more aware of things such as the situation that you're dealing with. So. All right. Let's see. Anything else off Tamara? We've got about a minute left. Did you want to say anything?
Go to Health Canada and open it up, and everybody start reading it and start filling it out and start educating yourself on what they actually want us to do or want to do to us. So please, everybody, go to the Health Canada website, and don't think I need to tell you how to get there, and go to the survey and read it through and answer the questions thoroughly. And make sure that you tell them exactly. And then write a letter to your MP. And then write a letter to your MLA. And then write a letter to Justin Trudeau himself. But we need to start opening our mouths and standing up. That's it.
Sounds good. Exactly. All right. Thank you to our sponsors, BMA Hydroponics, Legacy420.com, and the Camelford Lifestyle Shop. I'd also like to thank Ted, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club, for coming on to the program. And we'll have you back on for an update, Ted.
Okay, thanks for having me on the show, folks. And thanks for all your help with
and
this.
Thanks to you, Tamara. Thanks to everybody for watching. We'll talk to you all soon. Talk to you in
Bye,
about 30
Chris.
seconds.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.